Hello and welcome to the workout. Today we've got legs, back, and biceps. I gotta admit, this is my favorite type of workout. Those are my three favorite body parts. Actually, I like legs and back, but we'll throw biceps in for good measure. So welcome. We are gonna be focusing on supersets. 2 strength exercises for different body parts, put back to back together with no rest in between. Then we're gonna be taking a short rest after that superset. 5 supersets in total, 2 sets each. If you want a harder workout today, do an extra superset. Your job is to be aiming for 12 repetitions on each exercise, where the last 2 repetitions are really challenging. So that means at the end of a set of 12, if you can keep going, it's time to invest in some heavier weight loads. You're going to need a handled resistance band, a circle hip band, and some dumbbells. Let's get it started. Take your feet separated. Let's take a big inhale up, all the way up over your head. Exhale it out, and then let's do that again. Big inhale up. Exhale it out, and let's do one more, but you're gonna keep your arms up over your head, and I want you to actively reach up for your ceiling. Look up towards the ceiling. Imagine that you are lengthening out your spine from your rib cage to your hip bones very actively, breathing as you need to without holding your breath. Really reach, lengthen yourself out as long as you possibly can. Longer, 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 and relax it out. Let's come into some spinal twists. Just letting your arms naturally float around you. Just let them go, okay? Just let your arms go. What I want you focusing on and thinking about here is contracting your glute on the leg that you're turning away from. So left leg, right leg. Squeeze the glute on that side, because what it does is it gives you a more stable foundation to rotate around so that you get safer movement, but it also just feels better on the spine, the abdominal muscles, the muscles of your back, tummy drawn in. Let's do one more. Feels so good. And relax. Take your arms up over your head again and reach. I want you to reach up as high as you possibly can. Reach, 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 really lengthen, make it very active. If you feel some activation in your back, that's actually proof that you're doing this properly, because we're firing up the muscles of the core, and that involves muscles in your back. Big reach, big reach, big reach, and relax. I want you to bring your feet together, soften both knees, and from here, just in a very natural way, I want you to just kind of bend over, tap the floor, and stand up. 10 times on each leg. Now, if you can't get all the way over, you can bend over and tap a chair, okay? Tap your chair, or you can also just do this by bringing your hand to your front upper thigh. So the whole point is to do kind of a sloppy single leg deadlift here. And if you can come all the way to the floor, there's not a whole lot of technique here. I just want you to keep your knee bent of the leg that you're standing on and just very naturally rotate forward. And let's do one more. Same on the other side. 10, 12, if it's feeling really good and you want to do a few more, go for it. So the point of this preparatory sequence here is to let you work out the kinks, work out any stickiness that you might be feeling in your bod. And so if you need to do a few extra repetitions on any one of these exercises, if you need to do it slower or take a pause for the stretch, go for it. Activating that leg that you're standing on, 10 to 12 here. And it's just a really great way to fire up and bring some active mobility to the hamstring of the leg that you're standing on. And I know I'm doing extra repetitions because it feels so good. This is my more problematic leg, and it just feels so good to get that hamstring going. Okay, take your feet together. I want you to take a big reach up. You're gonna step back into a runner's lunge, press into your front heel, stand and reach, other leg. Alternating at your own pace. Let your back knee drop to the floor so that you get that opening in the hip. You can move faster or slower than me. But I want you to definitely let your knee release to the ground and just a gentle tap here so that you can deepen into the hip stretch that you're getting and focus your effort and your intensity on your front heel as you stand up. So front heel, press. Front heel, reach. Okay, we're incorporating that reach from the very first exercise so that you get that core activation as well. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. Okay, take your feet separated. Take a look down at your toes and make sure that your feet are really 100% truly parallel to each other. You want to avoid opening your toes outward unless you have to relieve any knee discomfort. Press your knees out, bend your knees, push your hips back, and let's go side to side. So a pretty wide stance here is super helpful, wider than you would think. But I want you to really push your hips back so that you are activating the glutes and the leg that you're sitting into, keeping your weight on your heel. And as this feels better and you start to feel your inner thigh lengthen and warm up, we're gonna sit a bit deeper, coming all the way down. Again, you can move faster than me or slower. This is your workout. I want you to focus on challenging yourself about 20% more than where you are today. So 20% more effort, 20% more challenge, but only 20%. So if you're super high energy today, give me 20% of that. If you're feeling a little tired or not so great, 20% of that. And that's in terms of your overall intensity during each exercise. Really push those hips back and relax, feet together. 1 more preparatory exercise, feet together. Bend your knees so that you're lowering your center of gravity. You want to keep your standing knee bent. Keep that knee bent, find your balance, and if it helps, you're going to stare at something on the floor just out in front of you, but make sure this knee stays bent. Once you settle into your balance, I want you to look around your space with the intention of throwing your own balance off so that your body has to really fight to maintain the balance on this leg. If you wobble around and if you have to tap down, that's absolutely fine. That means you're doing the exercise right. So look around, really throw your balance off and fight with that standing leg to really keep and hold your balance. You're gonna feel your glute and glute medius really start to activate and warm up here. That's the whole point of this exercise. Relax and let's do the same thing on the other side. Feet together, knees bent. Find your balance first. Then look around your space. Now, the goal is not to hold your balance perfectly. The goal is to have to hold your balance. So if you're doing this and you're really good at it and it's a piece of cake, I want you to look all the way up. I want you to look all the way back behind you, and you can do it faster because you really should be having to fight hard to maintain your balance. That is where you get all the juice in this goofy looking exercise, but it's literally one of the best exercises you could do every single day. If you're a runner, a cyclist, a walker, this is such a good exercise to get the full leg and core activated and prepared for your activity. And relax, let's get into the workout. So you're gonna need a handled resistance band, a circle hip band, and some dumbbells. First 2 exercises, we're actually starting down on the ground today. We're gonna be doing a glute bridge with or without a weight load on your hips. And then we're gonna flip over and we're gonna do a Renegade Row, either with dumbbells or without. So come on down to the ground, grab yourself a weight load that will work for you for your glute bridge, as well as a Renegade Row. If you're gonna use dumbbells, maybe 5-pound, 8-pound dumbbells for your Renegade Row, unless you're experienced with it, you could be above 8 pounds. Come all the way down. Dumbbell comes across your hips. Turn your toes open. And here we go. Drive your hips up, coming into glute bridge from the ground, really activating and squeezing into your butt at the top right there. Okay, 12 repetitions. And if these 12 repetitions are not challenging, your job is to get a heavier weight load. And if you can't do that, you could put the circle hip band around your knees. That's gonna help to make it a bit harder. But I would prefer that you do this with a dumbbell before you move to that, because there can be some problems with that circle hip band if you don't really know what you're doing. 12 reps here, pausing at the top for a nice big contraction right there, and flipping over for Renegade Row, and that is in essence the top of a push-up, and we add a weight load if that works for you, but you don't have to. 5, 8, maybe 10-pound dumbbells. If this is problematic on your wrists, you can just come to fists under your shoulders here, and you can just hold it and do this without any dumbbells, okay? If for whatever reason it doesn't feel good with the weight load, just do it body weight only. Hands are under your shoulders, stepping back into a very stable and solid plank at the top, tummy drawn in, and we're gonna do 12 on each arm so that you're getting 24 in total. Draw in through your abs. You're probably gonna notice that your body weight does shift from side to side. Now, part of the goal is to minimize the shifting, okay? But as you are learning this, you might need to shift your hips side to side and shift your weight load. That's okay, as long as over time, the more you do this exercise, you're trying to minimize how much those hips are shifting side to side. Tummy is drawn in, drawing that elbow high up to the sky. And remember, you can do this without dumbbells if you want. 12 reps. And we're gonna take a short break. Tuck your toes under. And I want you to just rock your body weight back and forth onto your toes from a crouched position to knees tapping down. Now, if this is super easy for you, just come in and sit in this position. We're gonna take advantage of this little short recovery phase to also get some great preparation in the feet and the toes before we go into some of our other exercises. So if you can just sit here and pressurize the forefoot and really bring some pressure down onto those toes and the arches for flexibility, go ahead and do that and just sit here. And then we're gonna go back in for our second set. So if that first set of glute bridge felt comfortable, let's go ahead and grab a heavier weight load. If you're limited by your weight load today, then you can do more repetitions. And I wanna make sure that you are incorporating a pause at the top before you increase your weight load. So give me a good pause here. And then if it's still doable for you, that's when it's time to add more repetitions if you're limited by your weight load. 12 reps, you're in charge of counting. I'm in charge of talking and teaching. So I want you to make sure that you are counting out your reps, because that's how you know you're gonna get stronger. If you can fly through 20 of these, the weight load is really not challenging enough. And this is a strength-based workout. This isn't just a boot camp or a high intensity workout. I want you to really have to work for each of these repetitions. 1 or 2 more, and we're gonna flip over for that Renegade Row. And relax. Find that weight load that feels right for you on that Renegade Row. Take a moment to set it up. Pretty much on all of your strength exercises, the more you take a beat to set it up, the better your set is gonna be. So take a moment to really put yourself into optimal position even before you begin, and you've got 12 reps on each side. Just pulling your elbow up towards the sky. Your hand is gonna end right near your rib cage. If you're using dumbbells, what happens for me is I feel one end of the dumbbell touches my rib cage and the other end of the dumbbell touches my hip bone. Now, of course, that will depend on the size of your dumbbells and whether you're using them or not, but you want your palm to end right near your ribs here. Really draw your shoulder blade back in space. Draw your abs in the best that you can. 12 reps. And relax, short break. If you want a harder workout today, go ahead and plan to do a third superset after a short break. If you're with me, I want you to just sit up onto your feet for a moment so that you're coming a bit more upright. Then I want you to shift your weight into a crouched position for a beat or two. And then I want you to slowly stand up and immediately lift your knees 10 times. Really important. If you're watching this in playback, promise me you do this, because the reason why you stand up off the ground and get dizzy and face the potential of losing your balance, or worst case scenario, blacking out, it's because you need those muscular contractions to bring the blood flow and the oxygen back up to your brain. Next superset, we've got a B stance RDL, which is one of my favorites. This does work best if you've got a heavier dumbbell, okay? Second exercise is a bent over row with a band. Let me show both of those to you very quickly. B stance RDL. You've got, let me do it this way. One foot is in front of the other foot, and then you've got the back foot with the toe right near the heel. Front knee is bent, and you're coming into an RDL with the dumbbells moving towards the shin of that front leg. Second exercise is a bent over band row, because we will be doing a dumbbell row later. Stand on your band. Make sure you've got equidistance, and we're gonna row straight back, quite similar to what we just did on Renegade Row, but your torso's at a slightly different angle. All right, you ready? Let's go for that B stance RDL. So once again, the working leg is in the front, and the back leg, that toe is just near that back heel. Front knee is bent, neutral arch in your lower back here. Squeeze your glute at the top. Send your hips back, and then squeeze your glute. Hips back, keeping a neutral arch in your lower back at the bottom right there. So you want your dumbbells to move towards your front shin, okay? And the way that I like to describe it is your hip moves back in space, and that's why you come forward. It's because the hip, both hips really, your hips are pushing or pulling in the backward direction, and that is what brings you into your forward bend. This is technically a leg exercise. We do get glutes, and it really is dependent on keeping that front knee bent at the bottom, especially at the bottom, okay? And really pulling the hips back so that you come into a hinge. 12 reps, going right to the other leg. Same movement, taking time to set yourself up. The position of that back foot is really up to you, but it should be near your front heel. It shouldn't be too much farther behind that front heel. You'll find the position that's perfect. Some people are better when the toe is right near the front heel. I actually feel better with my back toe a little farther away from my front heel. Abs drawn in, hold your breath. Hips are reaching back, making sure that you keep that neutral, natural arch in your lower back, right there. Hips pushing back, front knee is bent. Squeeze the glute at the top, 12 reps. And then we're going into that bent over band row. And relax, grab your band. Depending on the intensity and length of your band, you may need to really choke up on the band here at the bottom. You just want to make sure that you bring your handles up and that they are at the same height on each side before you come into the exercise. So slight bend over, and you're gonna pull your hands up towards your rib cage, okay? If you get a couple in and it's a little too easy, adjust the band because you do want some really good tension here at the top. These two exercises work so good together because basically you're in an RDL position here with your hips and your legs. So you want your tailbone really reaching back and you want your chest up, but there is a little bit of that neutral curvature in your lower back. You do not want to keep your back flat. 12 reps, pausing at the top. If it's easy for you, I want you to pause a little longer or get a harder band or choke up on that band so that there's less distance between your foot and the handle. Short break, make some adjustments. How did that B stance RDL feel? That is an exercise where you can go heavier weight loads. You could do it with a barbell if you have a barbell. And how did that bent over row feel? Can you use a harder resistance band? Or do you need to choke up? I'm getting myself a heavier band. Yes, I am. Short little break. Let's do second set, B stance, RDL. Again, coming into position so that back toe is just maintaining your balance. That's why it's there. It's just to stabilize you. But the hip pushes back. Send that hip back so that you come into a forward bend. Push the hip back. When I do this right there, I begin to get a high quality lengthening and stretch in my hamstring right there. Now my hamstrings are tight. You may not feel that sensation, but for most people, when you push the hip back here, if you've really got your hips reaching and that little bit of a curvature in your lower back, you are gonna feel a stretch in the front hamstring. It should be mild, but most likely you'll feel it. And 12 reps or so, depending on your weight load. And same thing on the other side. You're also probably gonna notice that one leg is better at this than the other leg. And that's normal. Most of us have one leg that is stronger and more functional than the other. And so you just want to put some extra attention and extra love into the leg that just feels kind of more awkward or tighter or harder, okay? Really think about moving your hips back so that you're not just bending over. The point of this exercise is not to bend over. The point of this exercise is to push your hips back so that you hinge at your hips, at the leg here, so that you come into that forward position. Arch in the lower back, 1 or 2 more. And let's go into second set of bent over band row. Oh, I love that exercise. If you do have tight hamstrings, RDLs are so good to work on hamstring mobility and flexibility. And it's just such a good move for your booty. So choke up on your band if you need to, or grab a heavier band. Make sure your handles are equidistant, okay? Just like that. And then if, last case scenario, if you are stuck with a certain band and a distance, you can just choke up on your band. I like using a handle for this. I prefer a handle, honestly. But if you need the resistance here to really challenge your back muscles, you might just need to let go of those handles, choke up on your band, give me a big pause at the top, tummy drawn in, shoulders are back and down towards your waist, big pull, abs drawn in. This is a good core exercise as well. And short break after this set and recover. Let me show you the next two exercises. Yes, you can do a third superset of all of these, or if you just want to do a third superset of that and two of the others, you can mix and match as well. Next two exercises, two of my absolute favorites. We're doing a plie and press with a dumbbell single arm row. So you are gonna want one dumbbell that's a bit heavier, and a kettlebell can work really great for this exercise, but you're gonna hold your dumbbell hand to hand, end to end. Toes are turned out in a plie position, and you're gonna sit and press. That's one. Sit and press. Second exercise is a bent over row. Feet are next to each other. Hips pull back, just like we did on that RDL. Pulling that dumbbell up to your rib cage. It's the same movement pattern as an RDL, but you're not wasting any energy holding that RDL position. And so it just makes it so that you can go a little bit heavier with the weight load here. Okay, are you ready? Here we go. Let's go plie and squat. Toes are turned open. Make sure that your knees are heading in the direction of your toes, okay? A lot of times I'll see people with their toes out, but their knees drop in. Knees, thigh and foot go at the same exact angle, okay? So however much that foot is turned out is how much the knee and the thigh need to be turned out, okay? Big push, big reach. Again, incorporating that exercise from the very beginning. Big reach here. And I really encourage you to challenge yourself with a heavier dumbbell here, because then you're getting a little bit of biceps, which is part of today's workout right here. But then you also get some really good shoulder push there. Big reach and sit. 12 reps. And let's go into that dumbbell single arm row. I do like feet next to each other. So here is your stance like this. You can come into a split stance if that feels better for you. The reason why I like a symmetric stance is because it allows your hips and your pelvis to be a bit more symmetric. So that just sets up the rest of your body to be more symmetric. So in general, I really always love the legs and hips to create a squared off foundation for the rest of the exercise, okay? But there's nothing overtly wrong with a split squat stance here, especially if you're using a really heavy weight load. If you're up above 25 pounds on this exercise, you might have to go to that split squat stance. So feet in the split position. And again, really pulling your hand towards your rib cage or chest, 12 reps, and immediately go to that other side. A little bit of a natural arch in your lower back, okay? Keep your tummy drawn in, and I do not want you rounding out your back here. You've got a neutral curvature in your back, okay? Abs drawn in, pulling that elbow high so that the shoulder blades are moving towards each other. Abs drawn in, nice and tight. Hand pulling to the chest, 12 reps, and then we're gonna take a short break before we do these 2 exercises for a second set. Short break. So on that break, you can walk around, get a sip of water, do a little dance, turn your music up. Take a break though. You really should be working at an intensity level where you want at least a 20-second break between your superset. So the idea is to intensify the superset so that these 2 exercises are hard and you want to recover so that you come back for the second superset and you've got more juice to give it. Your second superset or third should always be a little higher in energy, a little more juiced, a little more powerful, and that is what the rest is gonna do for you. Okay, plie and press again. Toes are turned open, knees are following. We're gonna sit, big reach. It doesn't matter too much how low you're sitting. It's not really the point. I do want you to come into a bit of a plie here, but it's not as though the goal is to like touch the ground. It's not the goal. The goal is really just to get your hips low enough that they're almost at the height of your knees. You don't really have to go any lower. You can, but you're not gonna get any more from the exercise by necessarily going lower, okay? Big reach, knees are following the toes. Another way of saying that is that the thigh is in the same exact direction as the foot, okay? So if you're to look down, they should have the same exact angle, thigh and foot going in the same direction. Second set, bent over row. Again, heavier dumbbell because this is a bigger body part. So 10, 15, 20 pounds or more, depending on your fitness level. And of course, you can even be doing this with a lighter dumbbell if that's where you are today or in your strength training journey in general. Little arch in that lower back. Pull your abs in. Elbow is nice and high. One of my favorite exercises right here. Oh, so good for your upper back. And if you really focus on pulling and bracing your abdomen inward, it ends up being an awesome core exercise as well. You really have to focus on drawing your tummy in and allowing that neutral, natural curvature in your lower back that I always talk about. And yes, I repeat that a lot because there's a lot of information out in the fitness industry about keeping a flat back. And the truth is, you don't ever want a flat back. You always want to be contracting the muscles that hold the spine in its ideal alignment. And that means there is a curve. Abs drawn in. Make it that core exercise as well. And relax. 12, 15 reps. Again, based on your fitness level and weight load. Next superset, 2 more of my favorites. We've got a modified Cossack Squat with a 45-degree dumbbell hammer curl. Let me demonstrate both of these for you. So on the modified Cossack Squat, here's my deal, okay? Cossack Squats are hard. They're very complicated. I really love a modified. And so what that means is you don't have to use a dumbbell unless you're really good at this exercise. You sit deeply and we're sitting side to side. The way it's modified is you're not coming all the way down, bringing your butt towards your heel. Now, you really do want to try to keep your chest upright as much as you can. The more advanced, the more upright you are. Second exercise, you do want a moderate weight dumbbell, and we are going 90 degrees at the elbow, 45 degrees turned out, and it's a hammer curl at that angle. So basically dumbbells Tap your hips, dumbbells, tap your shoulders, and your arms are turned open about 45 degrees. Now, if you're practiced with Cossack Squat, come on and join me. Totally cool to hold a dumbbell here. Just make sure that dumbbell is not collapsing you forward. Wider stance than you think you're gonna need. And then from here, you're just gonna come over to one side and you are simultaneously switching, and sitting your booty as deep as you can safely while also keeping your chest upright. The deeper you go, the harder it is to keep your chest upright. And that's why I really love to teach this as a modified Cossack Squat, okay? I don't know too many people that can really do a great Cossack Squat. Great exercise, great to strive for, but it's like pull-ups and push-ups. Not too many people actually do them right. So I'd rather you get it right and not sit quite so deeply, and I'd rather you get it right and not necessarily be holding a weight load. 12 on each side, 24 in total. Grab your dumbbells, 12 hammer curls. 90 degrees at the elbow, 45 degrees open, and hammer curl. Abs drawn in. So, teach you a secret. Boy, it took me a long time in the fitness industry and in strength training to really understand this concept, but this is a bicep exercise. You're actually gonna get a whole lot more out of it if you make sure your shoulders are back in space and down. Push your shoulders down. Notice what that does to your biceps. It makes the exercise so much more effective and so much more concentrated on the bicep because you're eliminating the use of your traps. Big pull. The heavier or bigger your dumbbell, the more you're gonna have to kinda cross back behind your body and not stop here if you wanna get that full range of motion. 12 reps, short break, and then we're gonna go for our second set. Now, if your Cossack Squat feels really good, and you can see that your technique is really good, go ahead and add a light dumbbell. 3 pounds, 5 pounds, 8 pounds, but just make sure when you add that dumbbell that it's not causing you to collapse forward. Because even for me, I know that's what happens. And so a lot of times I love this exercise, but I really love to get it right because when you do, it's pure booty cheeks. It is goodness right there when you get it right. But as soon as you load it, there's a tendency to lose your technique. Okay, second set, with or without a dumbbell, totally depends on your preference as well as how your body gets the most benefit from this exercise. Okay, here we go. Dropping deep, sitting nice and deeply down in. So for those of you guys that don't know, this space that I'm in is a renovated cattle barn. And so just behind me is a full-on barn with like a huge tractor and machine equipment. I think there's 2 tractors right behind me in the other room. And so we're moving into winter right now, and the squirrels are living in my wall right behind me, and they are so noisy. So if you hear some noise, it's because they're over there creating their nest for the winter, and they talk to each other, they squeal, they make so much noise. It's unbelievable. Who knew such a small animal could make such a disruption? So you might hear it. Sit nice and deep, keep your chest up, heavy onto that heel, using a dumbbell if you need to or want to, and then we're going right in to that good bicep curl. 12 each side, 24 in total, more or less, depending on where you are today. And hammer curl. Push your shoulders down. It's everything. It makes such a huge difference. Shoulders down. And what I was saying is the bigger your dumbbells, the more you may need to cross behind a little here so that your arm can come into full extension before your bicep curl. because if your dumbbells are big, you're not gonna come to full extension here, and I like a nice straight elbow at the bottom. Either way, chest is lifted, and really think about your shoulder blades moving towards each other. Believe it or not, if you get this right, it's an awesome upper back exercise as well, because you're using your lower traps and your rhomboids to pull your shoulder blades together. And so that, even though it's a bicep exercise, it's actually gonna make your biceps look better, and it's gonna help you activate and isolate your biceps a bit more. 12 reps or so, and we've got one more superset. You're welcome to do a third of that because I know it's a good one. I know you love those Cossack squats. So if you want a third set, go for it. Next exercise, you need a circular hip band, and we've got another bicep exercise. Grab your circle hip band, go ahead and step into it. I'll show you the secret that makes it a little easier. Step in, place it around the knee, above the knee would be ideal, and then get ready, stretch it and step in. Stretch it and step in. The heavier your band, the harder that's to do. But if your band is more moderate, you can usually stretch that band pretty wide and just step right in, okay? Next exercise, lateral band step, starting with your feet together, knees bent. Make sure that you are pushing your hips back so that you're basically in that starting position of an RDL. And from here, you're heavy on your heels. Join me, let's go. Big step out. And if you are out ahead of me and moving faster, our next exercise is going to be an alternating bicep curl. I'll show you in a moment when I come back on camera, but I want you to take 12 steps in one direction. And then once you hit it, we're gonna go 12 steps back immediately without a break. And that second direction, when you're coming back, that leg that's now a lot more active was already fatigued on the first step. So when you're coming back, this leg is now getting extra. So one thing you can consider is that on your second set, after we take a break, you start on that side that you just ended on, okay? So second exercise, dumbbells. Palms are forward. It's called a supinated grip. Your palms are forward, okay? One is up, one is down, and we are alternating simultaneously. 12 on each is 24 in total. Now, the heavier your dumbbell and the better positioned your shoulders are, this is gonna slow you down. So if you've got a slightly lighter weight load, you can probably move a bit faster than I am here. But this weight load is right on the edge of challenge for me. And in order to keep my shoulders really in their ideal place, I gotta slow down when I've got a heavier dumbbell. Quality over quantity, you guys. Listen, quality matters on your strength training. And that is why I created Strength Society, my 3+ hour workshop that focuses on technique, because if you can get your technique down perfect on any exercise, you get so much more out of any given set. The idea is to get great quality for every single repetition. And if that means you have to slow down or even lighten your weight load, that is okay. Short break, and then we're gonna get ready to do that second set of lateral band steps. So what I was saying at the end of the set, if you wanna start on the opposite side, so last time I started here, so instead I would start here, but I'm not gonna put my butt to you, so I'm actually gonna start over here. Okay, so you start going in the opposite direction, and that's just a way to get equal stress and challenge on both of the hips by one hip going first and then the other hip having to work second in the set. So lower back in that neutral arched position, booty pop back, take a big step out, big step, okay? Make sure you're keeping your knees bent. That's the thing that makes this harder, is really keeping the knees bent, pushing your hips back into a borderline booty pop, okay, with that bit of an anterior rotation to the pelvis. 12 steps, and then you're going to immediately stop, immediately turn around, or just reverse directions, okay? You're gonna reverse directions to get that second side. 12 reps. Hips pushing back, using your hands on your legs if you need to. On that way back, whoo, you are really gonna feel that hip that's now working. Holy moly, right? You feel that? If you don't, I want you to sit deeper. I want you to take a bigger step, or what you can do is get yourself a heavier band. Because I'll tell you what, you get a heavy band, you're gonna feel it. My hips are on fire. Okay, alternating, supinated, bicep curl. Palms are forward, shoulders back and down, and one arm up, one arm down, and let's swap it out. Swap it out. Pull your shoulder blades towards each other, keeping the elbow near your torso. You don't want a lot of movement or change in positioning of the elbow. Shoulders back and down. Pull your shoulder blades together, okay? Really pull your shoulder blades together. And you want to minimize this as much as possible. There's such a tendency, and you'll see a lot of people doing it. You want to minimize it. You're gonna have a little bit of forward and backward adjustment as your body is swapping out that weight, okay? And 12 on each side. One more. And relax. Dumbbells down. Go ahead and step out of that circle band. And if you want a harder workout, you can go for a third set of that superset. Otherwise, I'm gonna take you into a little bit of a cool down here. And let's come back and revisit our spinal twist from the beginning. Abs drawn in, coming into a really great spinal twist here. Tummy drawn in, activate the glute of the leg you're turning away from. And it makes a huge difference. Feels so good. Handful of times just to release any stickiness that might have built up through the workout. Just to bring the heart rate down a little, if it's up, and relax. And let's move through the #1 stretch that every single woman should be doing every single day. Can you guess what it is? Quadriceps. Every single woman, every single day should be doing some form of a quadricep stretch. Now, if you need something to stabilize yourself for balance, please go for it. Bring your feet together, bend your knees, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna bring one heel up back behind you and catch your shoelace, the front of your foot if you can. If you can't do that, grab the heel of your shoe. You can also grab your pant leg, or you could wrap a belt around your foot and do it that way. Once you're into position, again, if you have to stabilize, that's fine. Look down. I want you to tuck your pelvis under. Then make sure that that bent knee pulls back behind your standing knee. But you gotta keep your pelvis tucked under. Tuck your pelvis under. You're gonna see what it does is it activates your glute and your hamstring on this side. That's gonna help you get a more productive stretch on the quadricep, which is the front of the leg. But see, your quadricep actually originates above the hip bone. And so you're not gonna get a good hip stretch here, sorry, quad stretch here, right? Because you're losing all of this distance in the quad. So if we open up that hip, you are now getting the full origin to insertion of the quadriceps because it runs from above the hip to below the knee. You're also gonna make sure that bent knee is behind your standing knee. Same thing on the other side. Take a moment, If you don't have the balance to sustain it, most people don't, by the way, bend your knees, use something to stabilize, because I'd rather you stabilize on a chair here so that you get a better stretch. If you're expending energy trying to hold your balance here, just stabilize yourself, because I want you to get a good stretch. So pelvis tucks under, that generally kicks the knee forward. Keep that pelvis tucked under, pull the knee back. You're probably, if you're really doing it right, you're gonna feel glutes and hamstrings grab. I'm gonna tell you another secret, okay? If you really do this right, you're gonna get a little bit of a cramp in the arch of the foot that you're holding on to, because you are in such a flexed knee flexion position and toe extension that the arch of the foot is gonna grab, and believe it or not, it's a good thing, because it's gonna help the opposing muscle groups to actually get a better stretch. So really pull that knee back, tuck the pelvis under, and that's how you really get the best quad stretch that every single woman should be doing, because in my experience of 30 years now of working with women, 70% of them have knee or hip problems, and keeping your quads flexible is super good. Let's take a big inhale up. Exhale one more time, big inhale up. Thank you so much for joining me for this workout. I hope to see you next time. And if you're watching this in playback and you'd like to join us for a live workout, click the link below or come on over to hollyperkins.com/free workout, and you can sign up to join us live right here. I'll see you next time. Have a great day.